What are some common ways well-meaning leaders fail to inclusify?
So I think it really comes down to missing out on one of those two basic and essential human needs of uniqueness and belonging. So there's leaders who they're really good at belonging. Like they just are very skilled at building culture, and they're well-intentioned because they want to create a culture that is like everyone feels like they belong. But oftentimes those same leaders are not recognizing the importance of uniqueness. So they hire on culture fit. If you don't fit the culture, maybe you leave because it's not comfortable. And the goal is actually to create a strong culture of belonging. But if you don't also layer in the uniqueness part that you can belong and still be yourself, then what you end up with is a very homogenous group where even people who have difference don't feel like they can share that in the organization. They kind of leave it at home. And that's just, we know that is linked to things like higher turnover. It's just exhausting to constantly be acting while you're at work. So that's one, that's the, high belonging, low uniqueness. One thing that came out in my research for Inclusify is this idea that some leaders were really champions for diversity. They were really focused on equality, but maybe their messaging around it actually alienated other maybe majority group members and sort of signaled incompetence for the women they were trying to support, or the persons of color they were trying to support, or the women of color they were trying to support, because they didn't describe it as this is someone who is, very talented. It's you guys are being sexist. You have to hire, you need to promote more women. And that just doesn't work, right? No one's going to promote more women because someone has shamed them and said you have to promote women. I think you still need to communicate why this person is outstanding. And of course they are, right? That's why this individual is championing them. But because they're focused on oftentimes people who've become aware of, wow, this is really unfair. They haven't had the years of learning how to communicate that in a way that is actually beneficial to the person they're trying to support. So that is a high uniqueness, but maybe low belonging, because they're actually creating divisions on the team rather than cohesion. And then of course you could do both, uniqueness and belonging, but only a little bit. And that's not being fully intentional, just thinking I think this will happen. I understand the importance of uniqueness. I get the belonging, and I think it'll happen naturally over time, but I don't want to rock the boat. And that's, again, a well-meaning leader who just needs that little nudge to say, if you think this is important, then you have to actually kind of tie some actions to your values. And then that will have the real impact you're trying to get to.